Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to Powercast episode 19. And today we'll be discussing Power Season 4, episode 8. And I'm also here with Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How you doing, Rich?
What's up, Gary? Doing pretty good. And how are all the listeners and viewers doing today?
Cool. And I'm here with Miss Dana Abercrombie. How you doing, Dana?
Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode. Highly demanded.
Yep, and I just want to give a big shout outs to everyone who left comments on, that last episode we did about the leaks and everything. It's great to know that, you guys actually appreciate what we do and stuff. So that's why we wanted to make sure we covered this episode no matter what. So here we are. So yeah, a very eventful episode again. Some major things happen. So, I'm kind of going from memory right now. So I'm just going to run through what happened real quick and we'll get right into the discussion because I want to hear what you guys have to say. So on this episode, Tariq continues robbing houses with, some random guys, some random street dudes. And this actually leads to, a woman getting murdered because Tariq, mentions their name and everything. He kind of gets a bit freaked out about what they're doing, with the woman. And then, he mentions their name and they kill the woman because, they don't want someone knowing their name. And also, Tommy confronts his mom about Teresi and, she denies that, this guy is actually his father at first. So that leads to Tommy doing some digging around, going to see Teresi's wife and, going through photo albums and stuff like that. Then he goes back to his mom, Leia, and, she can't argue at that point. She confesses. And we also see Tommy threaten to start a war with the Jimenez brothers. Jimenez siblings, I should say. And he threatens to go to war with them if they refuse him. And then, Dre goes behind Tommy's back later on to strike a deal with the Jimenez. And we also see Jamie meeting with Tate, who's the character we met last week. And they talk about developing, Jamie's old neighborhood and everything like that. And, during this time, Dre also meets up with them and Dre lets, Jamie know about the potential war that's brewing and everything. Of course, Sandoval gets caught finally. This is a moment we've been waiting for a long time. He turns up at Angela's place and, Angela's wearing a wire and, things get heated and, the other federal agents are listening in. And, they come to Angela's rescue and then they catch Sandoval. There's a few scenes with Proctor in the episode where, Jamie's meeting up with him, trying to make sure, his mind is right and everything and make sure that there's no evidence that can incriminate them, him and Tommy. And then later we actually see Proctor go to a safety deposit box and he puts in a laptop, which is, I assume it's the same laptop that has the evidence with the Ruiz murder and, that Tommy basically implicating him and Jamie for the murder of Lobos. So, yeah, he's put that into a safety deposit box, which is interesting. Angela tells Terry that they caught Sandoval and, she specifically mentions that he should let, Jamie know that they caught Greg's killer. And Terry does just that, of course. And then later on, there's a scene with Jamie, Tommy, and Proctor. And after Jamie actually gets that news about Sandoval, he's on alert about, what Sandoval knows, because obviously Sandoval was the leak. He was working with Lobos. So he can talk. He knows a lot of things about, Jamie and Tommy. So he can blabber and kind of incriminate them, so they want to get rid of him. So Tommy actually calls in a favor from his father Teresi, and behind the scenes Teresi, works things out. And at the end of the episode, we see Sandoval get murdered, and Angela comes in, and she talks in Spanish to him, says, that's for Greg. And yeah, that's how the episode ends. A lot more happened in the episode, of course, and we'll get to all of that as we discuss the show. But Richard, what's your thoughts on that episode of Power?
First and foremost, I also would like to thank everybody that did leave comments, as well as Jay Rainey. So here are my thoughts on the episode. I'm going to try to be a little brief so I can give Dana her time. First and foremost, Tariq and Dre, they have now moved to my kill them list. Because, Dre, first and foremost, this character is very trifling. Dana said that he is the character that could have basically had it all. He can come up, and that's what we're seeing now. He as he said in this episode, he wants to be the biggest drug dealer in New York. So obviously, taking all of the information that Ghost taught him with the club, and the fact that Ghost already established a relationship with Karen Bassett, now he intends to use that to his advantage. So yes, definitely play a lot of power moves, and I believe that you both mentioned this before. We did see in other episodes, well, the episode in particular where he had Julio killed, that was a major episode for him, and then he got promoted the next episode after that. So very dangerous, very volatile situation for Ghost and Jamie. I still am a little surprised that Tommy promoted this guy so fast, not really knowing all the information about what happened with Julio. And, I'm very curious to see what happens once they do find out that he has been doing all this other stuff, how they will be able to react, if it will be in time, because by then he may have all of Tommy's team going up against them, pretty much going up against him and Ghost. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. But Dre, yes, this is a character that I'm very annoyed about now, so I'll be looking forward to his downfall. As for Tariq, this character I just don't understand, because obviously the last episode we saw he was a bit of an asshole to his sister once again, and he was just getting high off that lean. So this episode, obviously, he took it upon himself to go out with these guys and rob another house. Now the thing about it is that he saw them trying to rape the woman, and then he went up there, and then that was when he lost it, and he was like, but the thing is this, he knows these guys are not good people. So he don't use common sense or logic at all. So obviously, running away. And one thing I didn't really understand is when he did leave, I guess he decided, well, I have to keep the phone on me. I would have ditched that phone in the trash right then and there, because, I'm pretty sure that you can afford another phone. So I didn't really understand at that point. But the fact is that, he told him a lot of information, like when he proceeded to actually go in and talk to the lady. He told him, oh, yeah, I live in a neighborhood just like this. So they are going to find him eventually. And I think that what will happen as a result of that is, well, it won't be good for whoever is around him at that time, not just him. But not a very smart character. So I do think that he needs to be taught some lessons, some very harsh lessons. So we'll see how that plays out. And the last thing I will touch on is Tommy and his relationship with his father, Teresi. I have to tell you, now I'm really starting to like the Teresi character, because, yeah, he would do whatever he will do for his son. Obviously, though, I think that there are strings attached. If Tommy never visits him in jail, then that can be a bad thing. But I feel like there's a lot of drama now involved with Tommy and his parents. So I think a lot of that is going to distract him from trying to focus on the business stuff that he needs to focus on. We've already seen things start to happen in this episode that let you know he's losing control of his organization. So I imagine it'll only get worse as long as the family drama is there. But I am starting to like his father character, because, again, this is a guy that he's there trying to help him out. But, of course, there's always a motive behind this. And we will find out later what that motive is, but it could be something as simple as he wants Tommy to visit him. But I don't know what it is. But overall, I would say it was a very good episode. Oh yeah, and the last thing I should mention, yes, I'm glad the Sandoval got his in the end. However, the way Angela did that, now I think that she would have a motive or a reason as to go back and say, well, yeah, maybe Ghost is involved because she specifically told Terry to tell Ghost, oh yeah, Sandoval is in prison now. So very curious to see how that whole situation plays out. But overall, I think it's a very good episode, you know. So yes.
Yeah, indeed. Dana, how about you? What's your thoughts after seeing the episode?
It's a wonderful episode and the start of many wonderful more episodes to come. He, it's I that he soon come to a realization of things, and he might end up changing his attitude for the better. I think possibly be the next mini Ghost, depending on how things end up coming about.
So you're talking about Dre, yeah?
Which is somewhat disappointing, but and Dre still love the fact that Dre is still a little bit still sneaky. He soon the way how things are going.
Okay, yeah, we didn't hear a lot of that because your internet kind of got a bit choppy there, but yeah, I take it you were talking about Dre.
Yeah, can you hear me now better?
Yeah, we hear you right now.
As I was saying was that, yeah, Dre, I see this is, like I said, it's going to be the rise of Dre. And I see that this is going to be, you know, everything is going to be too distracted right now. And Dre, he's taking his time, he's being patient, and he may end up being the last man standing at this point. We don't know. I strongly believe, and I have faith in Dre to not screw this up, because I want to see him threat his power. And I think that would be such a great betrayal as well, to like have someone, if you look from the episode 1 and you see this guy who's like just learning the ropes, and you see him now as like master of the ropes soon. So I'm like of a transformation, and it's called Power for a reason, and he may actually be the reason why it's named Power. With Jamie, maybe it's him.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I know you've mentioned this before, but you kind of see Dre as like the rising power of the show. Like he's the shining star right now, and he's coming for, you know, the #1 spot, and he's kind of overshadowing everyone else right now.
Absolutely. And I think that is a very executed reason. I think that they planned that out, and that should be dismissed. This is not some random who, you know, thinks he can be all great and bad and take everybody out. This has been a very slow progression of things. So I think we're in point of this season, and his inclusion, I think is going to be very important.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I gotta agree. He's a well-developed character. I think, you know, he's come a long way since he first appeared in the show and everything.
He's kind of one of the best characters in terms of being that developed.
Yeah, you could definitely make a point. Sure. So one thing I wanted to ask about Dre, specifically is, so, you know, he went to the Jimenez siblings, and, you know, he tried to strike a deal with them. Now, if, like, you know, if all of that happens, he's not going to be able to hide anymore, right? Because, like, I don't know how they're going to be able to go about working together without Tommy knowing.
No, absolutely not. And I think he's at the point now where he just doesn't care.
Right.
I mean, eventually they're gonna have to know Tommy's gonna have to know. But we've seen this.
So there's no more hiding. There's no more hiding for Dre.
No, no more hiding. I think everything will just be open.
Okay, so you're saying they're gonna find out what Dre's been up to, like moving forward.
Absolutely, 1,000%, hands down. If not by within this season, clearly, I think in my head, if I was to script it, I would want the opening scene of next season to be like, oh snap, what are we gonna do? And Dre's just sitting in the corner, just laughing. You know, like just chilling and laughing. Realization. And maybe we super friends next season.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, let's go to Rich right now because your internet's still kind of bugging out a little bit. So, Rich, what would you think of Dre? Is there any more hiding for him, or is this the point where everything's going to be blown wide open and Tommy and Jamie know exactly what he's been up to?
Well, I do want to respond to what was said previously in terms of the power definition. But before I do that, to answer your question, yeah, I mean, Dre is now the distributor. So in my opinion, he's going to know. I mean, they may just trust him to just go and handle certain discussions when they're not involved in certain discussions if they think everything is going good. So I don't think that necessarily they will know everything about everything quick, unless of course there is somebody who turns on Dre and decides to divulge information to them, and that very well could happen. It could be another character that is there that decides that he wants to let them know and try to start something. So it's we'll see how that goes. But one thing I did want to say, what Dana said about the power theme and that Dre, all of that stuff makes a lot of sense because yeah, we have seen the character rise, but in terms of the show and the show of the title Power, I personally think it's a question of who has the power and not necessarily one person. Because while everybody wants to be at the very top, one thing about this show and one thing about the drug game is that anybody can be taken out at any time. You saw how last season, or maybe it was the season perhaps, it was last season, when you had Milan come in there and it looked as though he was a dominant force, somebody that both Ghost and Tommy had to worry about. And then just like that, he was taken out at the end of the season. So I think that anybody can be taken out at any time. Obviously, we always say that there's certain characters that we know they're not going to take out. And I still believe Ghost is a character you can't take him out of the show because at that point, I think stars would suffer. I think the show would suffer if you take him out. He's the main character of the show. But yeah, I just think the whole thing about the power is it's about who has the power, and it's always a competition. So I don't think it's just one person. Dre is a threat. They have made him a threat this season because of the way that he's slowly growing in behind the scenes. But I still think that these other people that they have introduced, the Jimenez, that's their threat also, because you saw in one episode how much damage did they cause when they killed that guy and his wife in front of the baby. So I just feel like it's a situation where, it's a question of who has the power. It's multiple people going after that. Will there eventually be someone that rises above? Yes, that's possible. But just like we've seen in shows like The Wire, just when a character gets at the top point, he can be taken out at any time. Because we actually had a discussion about what happened with Omar in The Wire a couple days ago. So I think that's the nature of the show, is that, yes, it is a fight for power, but anything can happen to anybody. Because of the dangerous nature of of this whole drug situation and everything. So we'll see what happens, but I think it's a good explanation of Dre. The character has grown, but I'm curious to see what happens because you already know eventually the audience. I believe the audience is rooting. I think most of the time the audience is rooting for Tommy and Ghost to always succeed. So I don't know if anybody's rooting for Dre to take them down, but we all know eventually he gonna get his. So it's a matter of how it happens. So we'll see what happens, but it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And you said it well, shows all about power, and usually there's always, people trying to take control and, gain that power in the show. But usually there's always, one person that we know is kind of in control of things. Like there was Lobos, there was Milan, and now it's kind of it's got a bit convoluted to where we don't know who really has the power at this very moment, because you have so many different characters now. Like you've got the Jimenez siblings, you've got the Serb leader over there, you got Dre now, doing his own thing, and Kanan is somewhere as well. It's like there's so many different characters and so many plots. Like Dana said before, in the previous show, we don't know who has the power. So I feel like, I hope, the way that this season concludes is that, there's going to be that one person who is, in control of everything, and that's most likely going to be Dre, the way he's kind of been, you know been working behind the scenes this season. So I could definitely see him being like, that main dude, like the big boss at the end of the season, if things continue like this, because nobody's suspected him up to this point. Although I think Tommy might be slightly suspicious of him, and I'm wondering if Tommy is actually kind of lining him up behind the scenes, because it did seem a bit quick the way he made him distro, while they were looking at Julio's body. So I'm wondering if Tommy actually is planning something. But we know that Tommy is kind of a loose cannon, and he doesn't really plan that well. He's not the type to plan anything. So who knows? But speaking of power, I did want to go back to what you said before, Rich, about Teresi, and about whether he'll ask for something in return for killing Sandoval. And I feel like he will. And I think it's going to be more than just a visit from Tommy. I feel like he's going to want something major. Money is obviously the first thing we think of, because he has a sick wife, but I kind of feel like he might want more than that. And I feel like he might want in on the action somehow, in terms of like the drugs and stuff. But I'm not sure to what capacity. So, what's your thoughts on Teresi?
Well, I did have one question when you said that. You said he may want something. Is it possible? Well, did they ever specify what he was in jail for? Does he have the death sentence, or is it just a prolonged sentence?
He doesn't have the death sentence, but yeah, he has life, I think.
Okay, because I was going to say, well, maybe he could want them to basically use
Like
their attorney to get him. Use their attorney to get him out of there. But again, I don't know if they really went into a lot of detail. I would have to go back and find those episodes to see if they said specifically what he is in there for, how long he is in there for, because he could just want out of there. Because it's going to be hard. The thing is this, it's going to be hard for him to build a relationship with Tommy if he's behind bars all the time. Unless, of course, Tommy gets arrested and ends up in there with him. But I think the money thing, what you said, I think that's on the money. He's definitely going to want that. He may want Tommy to do, because we saw Tommy getting angry in this episode. He may say, your mother is a bad influence. I want you to kill her. That would be interesting if he even presented that idea to him at some point. Because it looked like Tommy was going to hurt her in this episode. So but yeah, obviously he definitely wants more. Like you said, the money is a good point. I don't know anything else beyond that, unless of course there's a way to get him out of there, or to clear his name, or whatever, or maybe basically he would want him to go on the job with his crew. That's also a possibility, but I'm not really sure. But the money, they're definitely going to want that. But I can't think of anything else at the moment.
I think one thing you said is definitely a huge possibility, and I think regarding his case, because we have two lawyers in the show. So I feel like he might actually, force Tommy to get Proctor working his case, and that would give Proctor something else to do in the show, to keep him in the show, because we know that he's a key character now to whatever the future holds for this show. Proctor is going to be a major part because of that one scene that happened, in this episode with the laptop. So I feel like that's definitely going to come back to play at some point. So to keep him relevant and, in our faces, I definitely could see that as a possibility where Teresi asks Tommy to get his lawyer to help him. And, maybe they want to do some covering up or something of whatever he got convicted for. Maybe they want to, maybe Teresi wants to go back and change some evidence or, do something that will make it so that he can appeal his case and, possibly, change his sentence or something. Like maybe that's a possibility. I think that's like the biggest possibility out of all the things you said. Of course, the money as well, that's probably going to be something. But yeah, I feel like that could be a big possibility. Dana, how's your internet? And if it's okay, let us know what you think Teresi wants.
Yeah, I completely agree with the assessment that he might end up tampering with evidence or playing around with the case in order for that to go down. There's a reason that they introduced Proctor in there, and there's a reason for him still staying. So I see that as being the best possibility.
Oh. Yeah, your internet's struggling right now. Are you streaming the Power bootlegs right now? Is that why? Is that why your internet's acting up?
Very, very funny. We don't stream bootlegs.
I'm just trying to figure out because your internet was like great at before we started the show.
It was like there's a lot of things that's going on that could interrupt.
Well, you sound great right now.
I do? Yay! Okay, great. So, as I was saying, yes, there's a reason as to why Proctor is still in this strongly believe that they're going to do some type of tampering with the evidence. I think one that would be the most interesting as a viewer, and that makes it more unpredictable for the show. So that's how I view it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it will be interesting to see what happens. I definitely feel like, Teresi is going to be a key character moving forward. So I hope we get to find out. I'm sure in the next episode, we'll find out, what he wants in return. Because Tommy did say that he wants nothing in return, but, I don't believe that at all. So there's got to be some reason why, I mean, of course, if he's your son, you want to get to know him and stuff, but I feel like he's
not necessarily. No. Mm.
Yeah, the thing. No, I was just gonna say that the thing is with that relationship is that even when Tommy called them back, it's like there wasn't really an acknowledgement. Yes, so you are my father. No, he's just like immediately, I need you to do me a favor. So he hasn't really embraced the relationship yet. Even though he laughed at the joke that Teresi said, he hasn't really embraced the relationship yet. So they will have to show that dynamic also. But I think just Tommy at the moment, yes, I need to use you. I'm going to use you for now. But we need to see where they go with that whole situation.
And also, it can be an unspoken bonding method. You know what I mean? Like, you don't necessarily have to have that full, I love you, Dad. Oh, my God. And he's all like, I love you, son. No. And a great bonding thing. Do this for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, judging how crazy Tommy is, like, I wouldn't be surprised if murder is their bonding because, like, like father, like son.
Not.
So, like, it's like father, like son.
I don't. Like father, like son, and that couldn't. It's gonna sound wrong, but that could be a great bonding experience as well. I did this No, I know it sounds weird, but no, and like it's like that unspoken love. Like, oh, the guy killed someone for me. He cares. That's his way of apologizing for all these years.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I would just love to snap that guy's neck. You did it. Oh man, that was amazing. I love you. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I like you laugh, but that to many people can be a very bonding experience, where it's like, that whatever amount of years, he's all of a sudden back into life, and he's not coming, asking for money, or you're not giving him money, or he's not having that big serious talk, it didn't work out between your mom. And he's like, you know what? My son needs me. I'm gonna kill this dude. And the son, I need you right now. You haven't been there for me for years. Go kill this guy. And that right there, that can easily be an apology for all the past.
I do agree, and I would say I personally think that Tommy will have plenty of time to bond with his dad if he continues to be sloppy and all the other stuff that he does. That he'll get arrested. He'll be right there with him.
Yeah, but it's interesting if you look at Tommy overall. You see him as being like this emotional, unhinged character.
Yeah,
and a moment with his father. Who knows? Maybe it's what he needs. That could be another thing. Here you have this grounded figure, your father, who's in your life now. He has your back. So it can actually ground Tommy so he doesn't become completely unhinged and either in prison or jail. Or death, not prison or jail. In prison or death.
Yeah, maybe. I think that's a good theory, though. I think that's definitely how they bond. I can really picture that. But speaking of bonding and moving to a character that doesn't seem to be getting enough bonding from people who he should be bonding with, Tariq. So yeah, that scene with Tariq, it was like, I guess it was kind of a realization that he's not really about that life, and it took way too long for him to realize it. I mean, I guess when Kanan was there, Kanan, of course, is a bad guy, but I feel like he kind of shielded Tariq a bit from seeing, some of the worst, that the streets has to offer. But this, in this case, he didn't have that barrier. He didn't have that, buffer. So, he was dealing with raw street dudes, and, he saw some things that just kind of hit him, and, he said their names and things got real. Now, what do you feel like is going to be the backlash with that? Because I have a theory, and, of course, we've talked a lot about this before, about, Reyna possibly dying this season. It was brought up by one of the commenters previously, and it could very much well be the case. In this episode, we see Reyna approach Tasha and tell her that she wants to go to a new school that's kind of far away. And of course, later on, Tariq goes to his dad and tells him that he would like to go there too after this incident occurs. So a theory I have is that maybe, the two of them get sent away, and these street dudes, they're probably looking for Tariq now because, they don't want someone who knows them that well to go and snitch and, tell the police that they killed someone. So they're probably looking for him. So what if, they find them at this school and that's how, someone gets murdered? What do you guys think of that theory?
I love that. I think we've crossed the part where Tariq would never learn anything if anything happened to him directly. So I think if it was indirectly. So just say, for example, throwing it out there, if the sister does somehow gets injured or killed, and then it'll look like, Tariq will take this as his fault. And then most likely it is his fault. But I think that can have a true impact on him. And I think that while it's unfortunate for Reyna, and it's unfortunate for the parents, even though they really suck as being parents, that this is the one thing that can probably either bring the family together or tear them apart for good. And I think that this could be a turning point for Tariq, or I think that it could honestly make him become some form of like a loose cannon. And he may end up doing more harm to others or even bring to his family by acting out in some form of retaliation if anything does happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that last part, but what you said before, I could definitely feel that about this being like, a thing that brings the family closer together if this happens. The thing about Tariq becoming like a loose cannon, I feel like in this episode he showed his true colors, and he's really not about that life. I think, he just had kind of a bad influence with Kanan, who was trying to use him. But the thing is, when Kanan was trying to use him, he was also kind of being nice to him. Of course, it was in a fake way, but like he was looking out for him a little bit.
He was kind of
But
Daddy Junior.
exactly, yeah.
And he
But
gave him
now,
that attention that his father and his mother wasn't giving him.
yeah, definitely. But now he's been exposed to what the streets is really like, and I guess now he knows that he's not built for it. So I don't feel like he's gonna become that super bad guy. At least not yet. Maybe like later on down the line, maybe. But
You don't
I
see
don't
that
at
at
the
all?
moment. Huh?
Because revenge can make people act very stupid.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like it's not his time right now. Like maybe later on, but I feel like
But it could
that
be
at
like
the
a
moment.
premature thing. And because of that, he has to learn how to grow up in the streets really fast and killed. Because his
Yeah,
parents just
maybe.
still, again, don't really care.
Yeah, you could be right. And we did see, after the Kanan incident happened, he did actually start bonding with Dre, and he covered for Dre. So maybe like Dre becomes the new Daddy Junior,
Oh, God.
and maybe he gets reintroduced with the streets through Dre or something,
Passing the
I
poor
guess
boy
that's a
around.
possibility. Yeah, Rich, what do you think?
Okay, I think those are some good points, but I'm gonna take this in a different direction. Um, I think if you do see Raina get killed in the next episode, I'm going to say it's going to have the opposite effect. It will tear the family apart. And the reason I say that is because let's go back to a few episodes ago when Ghost had that conversation with Tasha, and she said, "Oh, I didn't know he was running around with Kanan." But Ghost blamed her for that because he said she has a, Ghost was locked up, so she was there as a mother. She's supposed to be watching the kids, but she didn't know he was messing around with Kanan, messing around with some guy named Junior. What name was it? Slim? Yeah, that was the name. So,
Yeah, Slim.
so I think that if something happens to Raina, he's going to again blame the fact that Tariq was messing around with the wrong people because she wasn't watching him, and that will absolutely lead to some issues with the family breaking apart. And the other thing is that we had that scene in the very beginning where Ghost paid Terry a visit and found that earring. Okay. And then we see later on in the episode that Terry visits the house and gives Tasha her earring back. So what I'm waiting for is the scene where Ghost, he sees Tasha getting ready, and then he sees the earring that's very similar to the earring that he picked up. He's like, interesting. I'm waiting for him to find out about that, because once he does find out about it, that's gonna make matters even worse. So I honestly feel like it is unfortunate that somebody has to pass for Tariq to understand the severity of the situation, but that is going to happen. And I do think that as a result of that happening, while it will be good for the family to come together, I think it is the exact opposite, because it would be Ghost will blame Tasha for that, since she was messing with, since she didn't watch Tariq. And maybe she may even blame him also. But I think, yeah, this would break the family apart, no doubt about it. Because as of now, you see that they're trying to put on this act like everything is okay. They had the interview, everything is fine, the family is good. Once this happens, you can't be acting anymore. It's going to impact everybody in a negative way. So that'll be my guess as to what will happen next.
Yeah, you made some excellent points there, sir. And the thing about the earring, I could definitely visualize that happening. Like, Tasha putting that earring on, and then, he makes the connection. I could definitely see that happening. And that probably will happen, to be honest. So yeah, that's a good point you made right there. So yeah, and I'm interested to see what his reaction will be when he finds out about Terry and Tasha. That's going to be interesting. But yeah, yeah, I mean, I guess it is more likely it'll tear the family apart for good. Because I feel like they've been torn apart, a few times, especially like Tasha and Jamie. So this could be like, if Raina dies, that could be like the final breaking point, I guess. And maybe, it'll lead to Jamie moving out again and everything like that. Like they'll be fully split. And especially if you throw in the Terry thing into the mix as well, So there's probably not much going back from that. And so yeah, I can see that happening. Now I do want to talk about Angela, because I feel like she did some real G shit in this episode, I think. Like, okay, so there was one scene I was confused about, like she when the face off with Sandoval in her apartment, she disconnected her recorder. I wasn't too sure why she did that initially. But then that scene where she tells Terry that Sandoval got caught, and she specifically tells him, make sure you tell Jamie and everything. And I feel like once Jamie knew, that Sandoval was caught, I feel like she knew that he was gonna kill or have Sandoval killed, because there's no way Jamie could let Sandoval live, knowing that he's, the mole and he works with Lobos, because automatically he's gonna snitch. So yeah, I feel like Angela knew that was gonna happen, and that's why she went to Terry to tell him, so that he tells Jamie. And I think she wanted Sandoval dead. So, but I wanted to ask you guys, is that what you think happened with Angela? Because I want to know if, like, I'm just crazy or I'm reading too much into it. I'm trying to make sure, I've got the right theory.
Do you want to go first, Dana?
Can you hear me? Wait, go first.
We hear you. Oh, she wants you to go first, Rich.
Okay, yeah. I believe you're 100% correct, Gary. That was how this was all played out. But, to me, honestly, there was some confusion that I did have about that scene, where after she shot him, and he said, "Oh, it's over, it's over." She said, "No, you tell him that you're a witness." I thought that was interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah, like pretty much the ultimate. I still think her ultimate goal is to try to find a way to take Jamie down. Also, because this is why she put the wheels in motion and told Terry, yeah. Now she didn't care about Mike getting killed, because again of what happened with him and Greg, that was going to happen. But I still believe that she still has the goal of taking down Ghost, trying to find out what he is up to. So that's interesting.
Yeah, like, okay, so the theory I have on why she told Mike to to act like a witness or whatever, I'm thinking maybe because obviously Sandoval knows a lot, and he could automatically get into the booth and start talking and start exposing Jamie, like everything. So I think what she was doing was making it so that he didn't start talking right away, to buy time for Jamie to get him killed. So maybe that was her intention when she said that. But I don't know. It was a bit of a confusing scene.
That's a very good point. Yeah, and then yeah, that could have been what her guess was, but then she also decided, well, yeah, let me also tell them to test the theory. Tell Terry just to test the theory if Jamie's actually going to do something. And of course, we knew that Jamie wasn't going to actually go to the jail and kill this guy. Of course not. But if she ever finds out the guy that did do it, and the fact that he's linked to Teresi, and that even Teresi is related to Tommy, well, yeah, it's all connected. But as of at this moment, there's no way of her knowing any of that information. But yeah, all she does know is that he definitely was involved in making sure that Sandoval didn't make it, and Sandoval was expendable anyway, so it had to happen. But now that may be bad for Jamie and them moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if they're able to trace it back. But I don't know, because they could also assume that his killer was, someone who's related to Lobos or something, like one of his former henchmen or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Dana, what's your thoughts on Angela and her actions?
I think Angela right now is trying to do the whole redemption story. So I see her. Yeah, that's what I see. I see the redemption story. So I see that she's going to basically do what Rich just said.
Yeah. But okay, so where does Angela go from here then? Because I still don't think that she's on good terms with Jamie.
No, she
Even
won't
though
be.
she,
I don't think she will be for a very long time. And I don't,
oh yeah,
my mind, I don't think that she will be at all. It's really hard to like forgive someone who tried to lock you up in prison until you die,
hmm
right? So I don't see that as being any type of forgivable offense. So
I
I just think that she's, yeah.
Oh no, continue. Then
go
I
ahead,
have a
Rich.
question. Continue. Then I have a question.
Oh yeah, no, I don't see her that being a forgivable offense. So I see her just probably trying to redeem herself.
Yeah, go ahead, Rich.
I do agree. Yeah, she will redeem herself, but I have to ask this question. Now, when something does happen to Raina, do you think that she will have a reaction to that? Because she also knows the kids.
Yes, here's the thing, and this would be perfect. That would be her true redemption story. If something does happen to the kids, and if one of them is killed or injured or my hope killed, she will try to find that killer, and she will bring that killer to justice if they're not dead already. So I see that as that happening, and I think that if some weird way, if it's like tied back to I don't know, tied back to Jamie or something, that she would probably try to like dismiss it. But her true redemption story lies in the kids, and it lies in death. So I know it's gonna sound weird because I've been rooting for her death from the very beginning. She doesn't need to die after all. She just needs to bring that form of justice into Jamie's life if something does happen to the kids. And I don't want Jamie and Angela to like ever speak again or try to restart a relationship. I would just want it to leave it as that.
Well,
But
I agree. I agree 100% with you right there. But unfortunately, we need to keep it real for a second. We know that this show, they I believe it is in their contracts where you have to show a lot of skin in certain amount of episodes. I was talking with a friend the other day. He mentioned, I noticed that this past episode had no sex in it. So I said, oh, so I mean, episode 9 and 10, it's going to be a whole lot of sex that's happening.
it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be.
Oh no, it doesn't have to be, but I feel as though they will definitely have some type of sex scene before
It
the
doesn't
season
call
is
for
over.
it right now, and it really doesn't make any sense. The wound is still fresh.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
something
yeah.
like next season, okay, but now, no, that makes no sense to me whatsoever. You tried to take my life away.
Yeah.
You try to kill my family. Heck no.
Oh well, no. With them, probably not. With other characters, yeah. I think your favorite character, Dre, he may get lucky with Miss Bassett, to win over that business for good.
That's fine. You got to do what you got to do in order to make it a business. I mean, come on now.
Didn't he name drop her in this episode? Like, didn't he
did.
tell the Jimenez that he can sell the drugs in her places or something?
Yeah,
so he's probably
Bassett
smashing on the low. He's probably smashing on the low then.
Yeah, he could be.
That'll be interesting if he is. But yeah, with Angela, I feel like that would be good. That would be good redemption for her if she solved that case. And I feel like that could bring her and Jamie back together, but only after that happens. Like not right now. I don't think they could, get close together right now. But
I have a question. Why do you guys want them back together so much?
I didn't say I wanted them back together.
Hey, wait a second.
Why would you throw that in there?
Oh no,
I'm just saying it's a possibility. That's like,
So here's the thing. I'm not saying that I want to see that happen. What I am saying is what a lot of people are saying, and they're like, I haven't seen Angela in scantily clad clothes all season. Because if you think about it, every character so far this season, they have gotten lucky to some degree. We haven't seen Angela has been all business, and I'm glad that they portray her in that way, because in the previous seasons, it's all this sex and stuff. It's like the actress is very good at what she does. So I'm glad that they portray her as a detective. Really trying to get to the bottom of this case all season long. But what I'm saying is that I'm pretty sure there's a lot of viewers out there that are wondering when are they going to see her, once again in a little bit less clothes. I'm just saying what other people are saying. I'm not saying that I personally care about that stuff or I want to see her get back with Ghost. I'm just saying I know there's a lot of people wondering, well, when are we going to see that? So
she doesn't deserve it right now. She doesn't deserve to have any.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Nothing.
I agree.
No. So let her sit and
He said no love. No love.
No love for Angela. Let her sit and be frustrated.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if she wants some, she can fly to London and get it. It's all good. But but yeah. So speaking of like sex and stuff, right? Have you noticed that Tommy is back from Chicago, right? Keisha was featured in this episode. Like, how comes there's been no scenes of them together again? Like, what's going on with them?
That's easy. Carmelo Anthony said, "Damn it, stars! I don't want any more scenes with these two people."
He leaked it.
Yeah. Well, the other question you have to ask is, what is the status of their relationship? You haven't seen her. You know that he didn't talk to her all that time he was away in Chicago. They never really showed they had a confrontation. So maybe that confrontation is coming in the next episode or the one after that, because obviously she's probably angry and she want to know what is going on with the relationship. So yeah, we'll probably get some answers to that soon, I would say.
Yeah, probably. But I just found it really weird.
Anyway right now.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. So I understand. I understand like the technical reason for it, not to be happening. But like, I just find it weird that, they're both just like they're chilling and like they haven't acknowledged each other at all. But I understand why, but it's just weird story wise. But that's really like all the questions I had. So if you guys have anything you want to bring up about this episode, then now's the time to do so. Dana, was there anything else you wanted to address?
No, I think it's going to be a very interesting finale. I like how everything is we have things that are not going to be completely closed and ties that are not going to be completely, tied up. And that leaves for a lot of possibilities for the next season. I'm very interested to see how everything comes to play. Of course, right now I'm loving Dre. Rise of Dre, I'm looking forward to. And hopefully they don't let me down and have that one crappy episode.
Cool. How about you, Rich? Anything you wanted to address?
Yeah, just one thing I want to say real quick. Yeah, it was a good episode, but this is a question that I wanted to ask after I had to wait to see this episode before I asked the question. And this is a question more so for Dana, but Gary, you can answer it also. I want to ask you, how do you feel about how they have handled Tasha's character now? Because I'm not now, let me just say this right off the bat. She, Ghost had an affair on her. That's fine. She messed around with Sean and she also got with this guy. So it is what it is. But I just feel like when I saw the character in this episode, she was all lovey-dovey for Terry and not even really thinking about, because I thought that what they were going to do with the character was make her a little bit more independent and try to get up from under Ghost. But all she's thinking about is jumping on this other guy. And I think that that's rather unfortunate because they could have did more with the character. But I just wanted to get what y'all opinion is on how they have handled her now instead.
Oh, gosh. The thing with Tasha and my emotions go all over the place when I see the character. And I think that's what it is. I think that her emotions are all over the place. And so she may be lovey-dovey with one guy and up on another guy. I think she's feeling very isolated, very alone, and she doesn't have that type of support. She doesn't have someone who she can come and talk to. She doesn't have that physical intimacy and that, that emotional intimacy. And she's craving that. And so she's doing things that could be classified as hoish. But I view her as just being really lost. And I think that this goes back to the previous conversation that we had before involving the children. If someone was to die or if something serious does happen, it kind of may refocus her and her character and where it's going with that. And she may end up becoming a better grounded individual, not necessarily in a relationship. She may end up walking away from that whole situation and just not being herself and for her kid, if there is just one kid remaining. That while her actions on the surface seem very questionable, if you go into deeper, they're very human and they make a lot of sense and it's very three-dimensional. So I actually applaud what they're doing with her and her character.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel sort of similar to that. I feel like Tasha, I feel like she, after everything that's happened, I don't think she particularly wants to be with Jamie, but I feel like because the family was, kind of affected by him, being in prison, now that he's back, I feel like she wants to do what's best to keep the family together, for the kids, she wants to do what's best for the children and everything. So that's why she's, trying to act at the moment, act like everything's okay with the family and stuff and put on the act. But I feel like her relationship with Terry is her rebelling against it because she really doesn't want to be with Jamie. So I think that's kind of how she's rebelling on the situation. And that's her taking something for her because, she has to put on this act for everyone else, for the children and the family and everything. So I feel like the Terry thing is just her doing something for herself, like taking what she wants for herself because she's not in a position to do it in the open right now, I guess. So yeah, I feel like that's what's going on with Tasha at the moment.
I just want to make one last comment. Yeah, I think you both made some excellent points. The thing with me is that I think that what I was getting at was that I think that she, like I said before, Dana had said in the past that you definitely want to see this character, strike out on her own and be independent. But what I'm saying is that the Terry thing may be seen as a rebound, but I think now her intent is to work with Terry. Like, say Raina does get killed in the next episode or somebody gets killed. I didn't see the episode, so stars can't come after me. But let's just say Raina gets killed in the next episode. Now she tells Terry, I want you to help me divorce Ghost. And then has a relationship with Terry more so. What I'm saying is jumping from this one guy to another guy instead of, you know, taking what's hers and going out on her own, independent from these other people. That's the point that I was getting at, because I know Dana has mentioned that in the past, and that is something that I thought would have been great if they went in that direction. But now it's like they make it seem like, well, she has to have one of these guys. You know, you're not with Ghost, so I got to have Terry now, and that's what I don't like. But again, that's just my opinion. I have to see where they're actually going to go in the next couple episodes to see whether or not they actually do have bigger plans for her. But that's just my analysis based off of what I saw in this episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Great points made all across the board. The final thing I want to say is, right, I'm starting to, like, Dana, I already know you're going to disagree with this, but I'm starting to side with the Power writers in that they need more episodes, because like a lot of these side plots like are kind of like, you know, there's not, the development of the characters is starting to suffer. I feel like with Tasha in this episode, you didn't see too much, you know, of Tasha. You know, she was just kind of a side thing in some of the scenes. And, you know, like the Tommy and Keisha thing, you know, that like they're clearly both around, you know, but like they're just not acknowledging each other, kind of thing. Like I feel like all of this is caused because there's not enough time for them, and, you know, there's only 2 episodes left. I feel like they needed, you know, an extra 2 episodes to kind of give everyone their full development. And I know you disagree, so go ahead and tell me why you disagree, Dana.
Yeah, go ahead, Dana. I have something to say after you.
Go ahead.
Oh no, you go first.
Oh no? Okay. Then I'm gonna just say this. No. If you know how to write, and if your episodes are taken away, and you don't have those 2 episodes, you from the very beginning should know how many characters you need, what stories you want to tell. Remember, people, this is not the series finale. So therefore, not everyone's story needs to be told in that episode. Not everyone's story needs to be said in that season. If you really are good, you're going to cut out the parts that you don't need. You're going to cut out the characters that you don't need. So characters running around aimlessly without speaking with each other, you don't need that scene. Or unless you're trying to justify just the unspoken tension that's coming about. If you're trying to do that for atmosphere, okay, that's fine. But in regards to people needing it to be stretched out and for it to be longer, no. If you know how to write something, you'll be perfectly fine. There are many TV shows with about 500 different characters in it, and their seasons are well plot out, their characters are plot out, and they are given the screen time that they need to develop that story. No, I still disagree.
So my counter to that is that shows need to grow, and like I feel like, you know, this show needed to expand, and they needed to add additional characters and story arcs. And to do that, they need more time. Like they need more time to develop all these new people they're introducing. So I feel like 12,
but this is not the
12
finale.
episodes is the perfect number to do that. I'm not just talking specifically this episode though.
Next season?
Because like maybe they've already set out what they want to do next season, and this season is to get them there, you know. So like they need to introduce these things at this point. And
they should have had a contingency plan.
Like, okay, like hear me out. Like one of my biggest gripes with Breaking Bad, like, you know, people say it's one of the best TV shows of all time. I don't think it's one of the best, but it's a great TV show. But one of my gripes is that it started to get like, you know, it started to get dragged on, and it became the same thing. Like they always found a new reason to cook and go back to doing the same exact thing over and over, right? I feel like this show is in danger of that happening unless they grow And I feel like that's what they're trying to do now. They're trying to grow in different directions, but to do that, they need those 12 episodes, I think. But Rich, what was you gonna say?
I was going to say that I'm glad that you asked this question. I think that there have been good points made on both sides. But I have to say, I agree 100% with Dana on this. And the reason why I agree with Dana on this is because when Starz renewed the show for 2 seasons, that to me said, well, yeah, we got a lot of time to make these stories work. So I'm not understanding what the plan is for season 5 yet. But cramming so much into season 4, it doesn't make sense. And there's a lot of stuff you could say wasn't necessary. Now, take, for example, the whole, thing with Tariq had that little interaction with the girl and supposedly he slept with her. I don't understand what was the point of that. And then we see episodes later, he tells Tommy, oh, yeah, I slept with the girl. So if that was only just to emphasize or he had the first time he had sex or whatever, yeah, but was that really necessary in the context of some of the bigger stuff that they needed to talk about throughout the episodes? I don't think it was. All the stuff happening now is highly important. So it would have had more time for that if they would have thought about what scenes do we need and what scenes don't we need. But again, it goes back to the fact that you have season 5 coming up. We know Lorenz Tate was going to be in season 5. So I wasn't expecting him in this season at all, to be honest. Then when I saw him in this, I'm like, so I don't know what the big plans are for season 5 yet, but there has to be a good reason why they decided we're going to cram all this into season 4. And I'm curious to see what the payoff is. But I think, knowing that you had 2 seasons already when you signed that deal, that told me that you had time to stretch out the storylines. So I don't understand why unless Starz said, well, the 5th season is the last season. And then, okay, then I guess you got to do what you got to do. But there's no indication of that being the last season yet. So I don't understand why they just didn't take time to tell the story naturally over the course of the 2 seasons. But we'll see.
Okay, like you just said, like, okay, you said you don't know why they tried to cram everything in the season. My point is, like, I feel like if they had extra episodes, it wouldn't have felt crammed at all. And like, yes, they might have known they had additional seasons, but they probably also have a strict outline of like what they want to happen in each season. Like they probably have a really detailed outline of the things they want to do, and they just need more time to make it to do right by the story that they're creating. But go ahead, Dana. I know you're burning to say something.
No. No. Okay. No. You know what you want to do and what you want to plot out. And through the editing process, you can tell whether or not it's just too many things that's going on. Now it's the writing room. It's a room full of people, not just this one person. So you're going to tell me an entire group of people decided together to throw in 50 different people in season and then jam it in all at the end and just rush storylines. No, you plan these things out. And so like I'm blaming this back on the writers. You have to know what it is that you're doing, and you have to have a backup plan for something. Things change all the time. Shows get canceled all the time. Shows get extended all the time. It happens. So I cannot, I cannot take that excuse.
Yes.
I remember oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just to piggyback off of what she said, 100% correct. They knew ahead of time we're getting this many amount of episodes. Now, if Starz came out at the first episode came out and said, okay, we have to cut 2 episodes off, that's a different story. Then you could say, okay, yeah, but they knew ahead of time how many episodes they were going to have. So yeah, they could have planned it better from the writing standpoint. And that's what I agree 100% with what Dana said about that, because it's not like it just happened overnight where I didn't know we only have a few episodes this season. No, they knew about this. So I think they could have done a little bit better with that stuff. But no, go ahead.
And this is cable also. This is not prime time where they jump up in the middle of the season and start cutting your episodes down.
Yeah.
This is cable.
Yeah, so I just want to say I'm not talking about you guys specifically when I say this. I'm talking about like the overall consensus right now on the show and everything of what other people are saying and what I hear other people saying. So like I remember like way back, when like around the first season, season 2, people were complaining that the show should be longer than 10 episodes. And like now it's like people were saying it shouldn't be longer. And like I feel like this is when it really needs to be longer, like right now, like because they like I just want to see the story grow. I want every character to get their due diligence. I want everyone to get their full growth, and I feel like they just need 12 episodes to do that. Like I mean, all our favorite Netflix shows, think of all your favorite TV shows, like a lot of them have 12 episodes, and I feel like that should be the standard, and that should be what's needed to really tell a detailed story. But that's just me, like.
You see what you just said? You said since season 2 that they've been complaining and people have been complaining, which means since season 2, the writers should have known how to cut things down.
I mean, I don't think there was an issue with cutting in though, like with I don't feel like the show was even crammed at that point back then. I don't like my point is I don't feel like they needed it back then. Like they didn't need the 12 episodes back then because I feel like it flowed perfect in those first few seasons. But now I feel like they really need it because we are seeing the story evolve and grow. So I feel like now they need it. But yeah, I want to hear what people in the comments have to say.
Yeah.
Rich, you had one more final point.
Oh no, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, this is a very good conversation. I'm very curious to hear what everyone else says, whether or not they agree or disagree that the season should be longer. Because it is a good point. I know you could take Game of Thrones now. Believe they have split up that season. So what is it? Only 7 episodes this year and 7 next year. So I'm sure some people are angry about that also. But this is a different situation. So I'm very curious to hear the feedback on this particular topic, as well as everything else that we discussed.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section. So definitely hit us up. Let us know your thoughts on, everything we've discussed today, but especially like, the episodes and, how many there should be and whether they should get more and stuff. Let us know your thoughts on all of that. For now, I guess we're going to call it a night. But this was a great episode. I enjoyed talking to you guys as always. So yeah, look out for the next episode. We're not quite sure when it's going to be because I'm going to be on vacation and Richard is going to be out of town. So we'll try and do it maybe like around midweek next week. So look out for that then. But for now, make sure you check out thecoalition.com. Check out all the content we have there. We have, movie reviews, book reviews, video games, everything. So, check out thecoalition.com. Check out our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media. And definitely leave your comments. Thank you for listening, everyone.